Halito, and welcome to Native Chalk Talk, a podcast by natives for all. Here we're keeping our Native ancestors' stories and history alive, while also sharing with you our Native culture, traditions, and more. I'm Rachel Youngman, a Choctaw originally from Anadarko, Oklahoma. I hope you'll enjoy this journey with me as we learn from our Native American guests. And I hope you'll do me a favor. Feel free to like and share these episodes. I so appreciate it. Yakuki.
Part of why I love to study meteorites so much is because they are these gifts from our Creator. Creator has put into each rock a story, just waiting for us to uncover them.
See and share our stories at togetherwe'remore.com.
You're listening to part 2 of this series.
I want to take a moment to honor your father, Simmons, who is widely regarded as a hero in the Native community. Why don't you share a bit about his story and the impact he made?
Okay, my father, as I stated before, when he was 12, he decided to keep his language. He was a war hero. He was a code talker in World War II. And he was 20 years old when he landed on Normandy Beach, along with the other code talkers, June 1945. They were trained as radio men, and they were allowed to create a Comanche code. Everything was in Comanche, and their codes were never broken. They were trained at Fort Benning, Georgia. Ironically, I was born there later.
Okay.
My dad, my
Wow.
dad was stationed there twice when he was in training, and then later, when him and my mother got married, we were back over there at Fort Benning. They saved thousands of lives, and they could send a code in 3 minutes, whereas the original code took about a couple hours. So they were very effective, finishing their mission, saving lives. When before they left, here's the part I really appreciate. Not only did our code talkers prove how brave we are and how strong we are as a people, but the women stood by their sons, their husbands. They were prayed for by different families, and while they were gone, the families kept praying for them. And I remember my grandmother, my dad's mother, we call her Gaku, grandma. She told me she walked the whole time my dad was in the war to the church, the Nazarene church, whether it was raining or snowing,
Oh,
to pray
wow.
for him.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, they did their part. The women did their part. And as a matter of fact, when I was vice chair, I was assigned to uh, supervise a mural painting of the code talkers. So I told that story, and the artist, Tim Sawpetty, he did half of the mural. He did the spiritual part, and my son Quanah did the military part. So they had the women on there on the mural at the church praying for the code talkers, and they all came home.
Where can we see that mural?
It's at the Comanche complex in the Comanche Code Talker room. It's a room that is solely dedicated to honor the Code Talkers. It's got all of their pictures in there and different stories and pictures all on the walls, beautifully arranged. So that whole room is dedicated to honor them.
And your dad was one of them.
My dad, we didn't know our dad was the Code Talker. We didn't know he had done something so honorable until 1985, and I was about 30
Really?
years old. Yeah, it was classified information.
Right.
But as a little girl, I knew there was something special about my dad, but I had no vocabulary for it
Right.
because he came home one time and my mother was in the kitchen, and I was in the kitchen with them, and my dad came and he stood by her, and he just automatically did that double step and he stood right by her, and he was so, I didn't have the word for refined, but he was so refined in his movements and the way he spoke and the way he treated us. He was so happy to be home. But that was a moment that I knew something was special about my dad.
That's Beautiful. And h- how cool. And I can just see you as a little girl just being so proud of him. That's my dad.
They were inducted into the Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame in 2011, and they were given the Congressional Gold Medal in Washington, D.C. in 2013 at the Emancipation Hall. So they made their mark in the world.
Yes, they did. And for those who may not know what a code talker is or was, during World War I and World War II, there were multiple tribes who were able to utilize their language to put codes out there that could not be intercepted by, say, the Germans, for instance. And so, with that, I mean, the Germans were, for instance, completely baffled by it. It's like, we can't, what is this? We can't break this code. It's because it was in, say, Comanche or Choctaw or whatever the case. So was your dad alive when they commemorated the code talkers?
No, he died in 1983, and they didn't honor them until 2013. So they were all deceased. The last one alive was Charles Chibetty, and
Okay.
he had several honors, but they were all deceased. And there were other code talkers in other tribes. So they were all recognized at the Emancipation Hall also.
Did he ever talk about it, even though it was classified?
I think he did tell my brothers more, and slowly through the years since 1983, we've been sharing what he did tell us. And when I was going to go to France, in I think it was 2014 when they honored the code talkers at the 70th D-Day anniversary, my sister told me she wanted to know what my dad told her. She said he was on the boat going to the beach, and he said the boys were falling. There was a mass amount of bullets being shot at them, and the tall soldiers were standing up in the boat, and he said the boys were falling. They didn't even make it to shore. But my dad got his rifle, he told my sister, and he pulled it towards him, and he said, I can do this. And
Wow.
so what I
Yeah.
noticed about my dad, he was real brave. The soldiers that are in combat, they're a strong kind of brave because they've been through everything. And so my dad was very brave, and he got out of the boat and he went to the shore. And I don't know if he was standing in the boat or, I mean, standing on the beach or laying in the water, but he was praying. And he was praying and asking Ta'apa to protect them and help them finish their mission and be able to go home. And while he was praying, one of the officers came by and said, Get up, Parker, they're trying to kill us. And he jumped up and he made it to the beach
Wow.
alive.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. With those kinds of stories, like, did he capture all of that somehow, or has it just been passed down orally, you think?
It's just been passed down orally, but I believe Bill Meadows captured some stories. But just being around my dad, I knew he was brave because he stood up to the Hells Angels one time when they tried to talk smack to my mother. And my mother told him, and he went over to the laundromat and he said, Which one of you are talking about my wife? Y'all need to leave her alone. She's trying to take care of the family. He stood up to them, and none of them, gave any pushback. And my dad, I'm sure all of the co-talkers were very intelligent. My dad, he loved the English language, he loved the Comanche language, and there were other Comanches that said he was a very good speaker.
Really?
And yeah, he was very good. And my dad was really, I guess his generation, they still had so much culture and language and history. They were proud of it. My dad was proud of it, but he carried it very well. People wanted to talk to my dad because he was a war hero. They had no honors at that time, but everyone in the tribe knew what the code talkers did. And he was very gracious when we were at celebrations or events. He would go through the crowd and talk to as many people as he could Plus, he was the grandson of Quanah Parker, and a lot of people asked him for help because that's what our family was known for, service to the people. And my dad used to read letters for Comanches and interpret it and help them write a response with their business.
Really? It's a good thing then
Yeah.
that he did not let the boarding school beat the language out of him, because just think about it. They tried to take his language from him, and that's the very thing that helped in wartime later, was serving our country with that language they tried to take away from him, which is always so ironic to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's very ironic. And my dad was even hit for talking Comanche. He was caught by one of the dorm staff and they socked him in the mouth and he flew across the room and fell on a heater. And my brother, my dearly departed brother, John Parker, asked my dad what happened. And my dad told him the story. Otherwise, they would not tell us anything unless we asked him. He told the story and how he landed on a heater after he got hit for talking his language.
I often wonder what happened to those teachers and administrators. Like, did they ever come to
Hmm.
a point where they realized what they were doing was wrong, especially in the name of God?
I don't ever know of any feedback. I think they all left and hid.
Yeah.
uh, there in my mother and father's generation, they were very harsh. And what was hard on them was the student staff ratio in the dorm. It was like one staff to 30 kids. And so that's why they never got any hugs or affection. They were just like little robots, told what to do, very structured, and they had to be like little soldiers, get their bed done, get to the kitchen to eat, walk to school in a line. They were regimented. So
Yeah.
it was a harsh, structured environment, unloving environment. But my generation, it was a little bit different. It was a small school. Fort Sill wasn't very big. I think there was 100 students, whereas Chilocco had 1,000. So I don't know whatever happened to the staff, but I do remember we had the good and the bad
Yeah.
in my generation. But as for myself, I learned to be independent and not have to rely on anyone. I just took care of myself in the Indian school and did follow the rules, and so I was okay.
Yeah. You were just trying to, that's survival. Just don't make any
Yeah.
waves, I guess. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned that your dad had PTSD, which is completely understandable. Do you know, did he ever talk about that?
No, but when we were on relocation, I don't understand, but why it hit him real hard at that time. Maybe because he was drinking more, because alcoholism is progressive. And so at that time, I think I was a teenager. I was a teenager at Compton High School. His PTSD was bad. It hit him real hard at that time, and he would think he was in the war and be hiding and hollering and
Oh my
shooting his
gosh,
gun.
that's
Yeah,
so
yeah, it hit
sad.
him. Yeah, it hit him real hard at that time period. But I tell you what, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you what the good that happened to my dad through all of that.
Yeah.
I had a praying mother, and my mother had prayed for my dad all his life because uh, I guess to survive, a lot of people in that generation and even now drink to self-medicate their pain. And so my mother prayed, and over a time period, my dad got sober in 1974. He might have been the first Comanche on record to go to rehab and got sober and stayed sober. Yes,
Wow.
and we
Oh
got to
my
know our
goodness.
dad. Yeah, for 9 years, we got to see the authentic Simmons Parker, full of humor and intelligence and history and love. And so we had our dad in the best form. And
Yeah.
then it was like a domino effect. I started my recovery in 1981 as a child of alcoholic and historical trauma. And so I have 44 years. My dad had 9 years, and my sister got sober for 30 years, and my brother 19 years, and my other brother about 20 years. So it's a span of about 112 years of sobriety and well-briety in our family through prayer.
So
Mhm.
what an amazing testament to you all.
I
If someone is out there and is struggling with addiction, how do you suggest they get the support that they need?
well, if they first realize they want help, there is many rehabs in the Native American societies now. Depending on where they live, they could Google it, a rehab, and they have to call themselves and ask for application because the rehab wants the addict to call so they can talk to them and see that they really do want help. So you have to ask for help. And then they'll take you they'll put you on a structured program, and it helps you spiritually, the 12-step program. I know our tribe, we have men and women, and the 12 steps are spiritual and they add in the cultural component. And we have had a lot of success in our rehab because they can reclaim everything they lost. Some of them never even had a chance. We get real assimilated living in the city. So you
Right.
have to ask for help. And you don't have to get sober by yourself, or even if you're just wounded like me as an adult child of an alcoholic and from the wounds my parents passed down. We don't have to suffer. We can help each other and do it together. And there's a new slogan going around right now, and it says, "We do recover.
We
There
do
is a
recover.
better life. We do recover." And not long ago, after all of these years and years of my own journey, um, I asked Ta'apa one day in prayer, how do I explain recovery or sobriety, well-briety to people that are maybe just getting started, or they started and they relapsed, or they ask you about it? How do I explain it to them where they can grasp it? It's
Right.
such a vast subject. So this was a download from heaven, and I heard this slogan: pray about it, cry about it, read about it, write about it, talk about it, and be about it. That
Oh.
is recovery. And that's how I healed through the
And that's
years.
how you healed. So it's
Yes.
the sum of all those parts, it sounds like. It's not just one magical thing. And
Yeah.
that sounds like a daily reminder for what was that, 5 things?
Yes. Pray about it, cry about it, talk about it, write about it, read about it, and be about it.
Be about it.
All of
Okay.
those things, that's your work. You have to first talk about it before you can understand. That's
When they're talking about it, when people or seeking recovery are talking about it, who should they be talking about it to?
Well, if they get in rehab, they'll be in a talking circle. They usually have a talking circle every day. And I think they have a book they go by, the 12 steps. And so they have a topic every time they get in a circle. And so everything that is said there stays there. It's confidential. And it's a way of uh, sharing with other people, and you get the support from other people, and you get that release, from what is you've been pushing down. Get rid
Yeah.
of it, speak
Yeah.
it out, and heal from it. And a counselor, they usually have certified counselors on staff also.
Hmm.
And then there's the sweats, they pray in there, and then they do journaling, and they do some other type of writing.
Well, and
There's
that's one thing I do like about a lot of our tribes now do have those substance abuse programs and support for people who are really trying to work their way through sobriety with all the ups and downs. So for you, it's more about your journey has been about well-briety. So can you describe to us what well-briety is and what your journey looks like?
Well, could be explained a lot of different ways, but if you're in a family where there's an addict, uh, the ones that are not drinking are the ones that suffer the most because they're medicated, but we're living in the trauma, whatever they issues they cause in the home, fighting, fussing, spending all the money. We're victims as well, and being wounded in our own home. So for me, it was recognizing that something was wrong. And at that time, 44 years ago, there was no white bison, there was no terms. All I knew was that I needed to work and pray, and I wanted to get past my depression. That was my first step. But I recognized something was wrong. I was in a lot of pain and anxiety. And so, what it is about is turning your pain to gain. Everything that was meant to hurt you in the negative realm can be turned to the positive realm. And I did have a list with the counselor of what things were my negative behaviors, and we worked through them and turned them into the positive behavior. So, and then you get to a better place of healing as you uh, journal, you read, you participate in support groups. Even reading is also a form of therapy. It's called bibliotherapy, and it helps you understand why you are the way you are, but the also points out that there is help and there's recovery. So,
Yes.
Wellbrighty is living a positive lifestyle and working towards your healing. I had started my recovery in 1981 at Fort Peck Reservation. I was a student there on the reservation, and I came to realize something was wrong, and that I knew how to pray, and I was just so tired of my depression. But that's what my mom and dad had passed down to me on the negative side: anxiety, panic attacks, low self esteem, depression. And the depression was just tiring me out. And so I spent a whole year on the reservation praying about it. I had no books, there was no white bison, there was no conferences, there was no one on one. It was stop the appa, and I overcame depression through the prayers.
Stay tuned for part 3 of this series.
Thanks for listening to Native Chalk Talk. Be sure to join our community on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and check us out at nativechalktalk.com. Stay tuned for the next episode. You're going to love it. Yakoki. Thank you, my friends.